Marco Rubio is calling for conservatives to turn America into a theocracy. He pandered to conservative Christians by basically telling them that they can ignore any laws they don't like as long as they can find a biblical reason to do so. This guy is a United States Senator. Apparently he's never heard of, much less actually read, the Constitution. How did these people get in power?
You know, Ed, and you know this, I have for years had a standing offer. You can take any moral or ethical issue. Take either side of the issue you want, and I will prove you biblically incorrect. Okay? So come on with it, Marco. If the Bible overrules civil law, and you can prove either side of any issue by the Bible, which you can, that's the end of the rule of law, which is the basis of our entire system. Marco, you need to go back. No, not to Cuba. You need to go further. Why don't you try somewhere like the South Pole? Good.
Joe, at the risk of being contradictory, I believe there is one exception to that rule of contradictions in the Bible. There is one particular human condition that is endorsed in the Christian Bible but not contradicted anywhere. You're the one that told me. It's slavery, right?
Oh, yes.
All right. Earth to Joe. Okay. What else did he say? He expressed his desire to see women lose their constitutional right to have an abortion. And, I recall that he said even if it would take the life of the mother, even if the mother knows that the child is going to be horribly, suffer from terrible birth defects, even if they know the child may only live for a month and it could cost the life of the mother. And then, of course, this is the party that doesn't want to provide any public assistance for a kid that might take $500,000 a year to take care of.
It's the same party that believes in individual rights and not intruding into people's lives.
I'm not finished with this guy. He said that God's rules are higher than Supreme Court law, which somehow justifies his crusade, I think that's the operative word here, to oppress women and discriminate against gay people. Then he urged conservatives to use the government process to turn our nation into a theocracy. And this, of course, is because, it's there was an old atheist I knew years ago, and he said what he termed this was, pardon the expression, but he said it's mental masturbation. It's easy to say that religion will give us, Christian values, and everybody will behave, and everybody will be moral. There will be no crime. There will be no discrimination and so on. But actually, religion is the fuel for all of those issues, and it's the Constitution that has protected us from those things. It's the Constitution that has allowed us to get away from some of the founding religious values or Christian values, including slavery, including oppression of women, including genocide against native peoples at will, that has brought us into the 21st century so that instead of, I remember the old Sinatra movie where he portrayed a homosexual and was, he was jailed for it, or he turned to alcoholism or something because he couldn't function in society. I don't remember the name of the film, but now homosexuals, which I thought I'd never see in my lifetime, can actually get married, and it's a federal law now. If we'd left it to the states, it'd probably be, maybe half of them would allow it now, right? But the flyover states still wouldn't. And so that's not because of religion that gives us civil liberties, it oppresses them, but because the Constitution allows us to go beyond these oppressive ideas. And here we have a United States Senator who wants to push us back into the Dark Ages. And this man can get voted into office. Somebody take over.
Well, it's interesting that Rubio frequently quotes Proverbs, his favorite book of the Bible. And we think it's his favorite book because it is a worldview that, part of that worldview is that everyone gets what's coming to them. Behavior is directly linked to reward or punishment. This worldview has social consequences. Those who succeed in life must be more righteous than those who struggle. So what this tells us is that if you have made it, if you are successful in life, then it is a confirmation that God favors you. And you ought to be in political power. You ought to be making decisions and controlling the lives of others. And those who are not in that position, that is 95% of the population, doesn't deserve it. It's all your fault. You haven't done the right thing.
Yeah, well, the whole gospel is uses this ruse off and on. Anytime it fails, it's your fault. Right? You don't have enough faith. That's why it didn't cure your disease. Or that's why it didn't move that tree that
boulder
said it would do, or whatever. It's all your fault, which is even worse.
I can see why Rubio's using a ghostwriter called the Bible. Here's one of his tweets. As dogs return to their vomit, so fools repeat their folly. Here's another one. Though the just fall 7 times, they rise again. But the wicked stumble from only one mishap. I mean, this guy's living in the 16th century, crying out loud.
That is
Mother Goose.
BC.
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
But so, we can see the danger of our country starting to take the first steps into a theocracy and where that can lead ultimately. What's it going to do to our education system? What would it do to science? We already know that a lot of people challenge science in some of the homeschooling textbooks that my friend Strayer has investigated. It
And they
literally
are,
says if the science disputes the Bible, reject the science and believe what's in the Bible.
And they are succeeding in that too. And this is reflected in the fact that to a greater and greater degree, China is eating our lunch. Their original
Sure.
research into solar cells, into technology, computer science, and everything else is beginning to far exceed our own. And we're falling behind. We used to be the world leaders, and there's no reason why we couldn't be, except for the fact that the majority of our populace, or at least the voting majority, appear to favor living in fantasy land.
And of course, Trump is trying to cut the budget for science research. Who knows what this imbecile Rick Perry is going to do with the department that he heads? Gee, I can't remember what it is.
Oh yeah, what's that Department of Energy thing?
No,
That's
couldn't
what
One
it
of the
been
ones
that,
I
but-
wanted to cut, I remember.
That part of that department's
was
budget, some $3 billion a year, which is like 10% of their $30 billion a year budget, goes to private companies to try to advance, scientific research, and that's what they want to cut out of the budget, so that, as you said, China is not going to step back, while we do, and so we see this opposition to progress that it's not going to be helpful for future generations. One more tweet, and then I'll let you comment, Joe. The eyes of the Lord watch over the knowledgeable, but he defeats the projects of the faithless. This is from Proverbs. These are being tweeted by Marco Rubio. It's making Donald Trump look like Socrates or something.
Socrates.
Oh, my mistake. Well, I'm in Oregon, Jim. Okay. Anything from you, Jim?
Well,
But-
that's almost enough to leave even me speechless.
Did you talk about the Pence's